Mark Carney is in Beijing, and he's tweeting out there that he's headed to Beijing. China is our second largest trading partner. Who's the first, Mark? And the world's second largest economy. Again, we've got a problem with the first. Maybe we should fix that first. A pragmatic and constructive relationship between our nations will create greater stability, security, and prosperity on both sides of the Pacific. I feel like we have, like, if they're the second largest, maybe we should deal with the first, you know? Anyway.
I would I would certainly think, and but and if anything, it's not even not dealing with our largest trading partner, but he's out there wooing one that he knows is going to antagonize the person in charge
Yes.
of our largest trading partner. He's going to make it worse. And he knows this. I don't know what the tactic is here. I think his goal is just to have us completely disconnected from the U.S. and be part of the EU, and to have our economy owned by China. It's just absurd. And what we're going to see now, we know. He's the most unpredictable president in the history of man, but we could probably predict that we're going to see more punitive tariffs coming out because he's going to get his nose out of joint, and it will harm Canadian industries. And what's Carney going to gain out of China? Because the only thing, we got tariffs against us from China as well. Against some,
Right.
again, Western producers are paying the price as usual
Yeah.
with canola, lentils, a number of crops, because that they refuse to drop a tariff against Chinese electric vehicles to protect a Canadian electric vehicle market that doesn't exist.
Right.
It's just absurdity from end to end. And Carney going over there to China. I mean, I don't believe they should put walls up and cut China off. We get a lot of cheap
Sure.
products there. There's a reality of our integrated economies, but in such a way when clearly it's going to provoke what's still an unresolved trade war with the United States. He's going to do us even more harm.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, Cory, you do not have a crystal ball, but I believe you have a crystal mind because China urges Canada to break with US influence ahead of Carney's visit. That's from Global News. And then Trump, uh, this is from the Globe and Mail. Trump appears to pull the plug on the USMCA as Canada attempts a reset with China. So he's doing exactly that. So we're attempting to cozy up with China instead of fixing the relationship with the Americans. And Trump said on Tuesday, the United States, the trade agreement is irrelevant to him. A day before Prime Minister Mark Carney was set to arrive in China, Trump was visiting a Ford auto assembly plant in Dearborn, and he said there's no real advantage to it regarding the USMCA. It's irrelevant. Canada would love it. Canada wants it. They need it. Now, all those things are true, but this trip antagonized Trump, and you don't have to have a deck of tarot cards in front of you to know that that is exactly what this trip would do.
Yes, I would be very nervous if I was a Central Canadian producer that's already on the edge because of these tariffs. I mean, we should be negotiating some things. I forget what the term is, but it used to be, that $800 worth of goods could be sent down to the United States without a duty or a tariff on it. And there's a lot of small business people who had little export niche businesses where they would send things to the United States all the time. There's now an automatic 35% tariff on everything that's gone down there.
Mm.
We're hearing about the big producers, we're hearing about the auto manufacturers, we're forgetting about thousands and thousands of smaller producers, little business people who had relationships with American customers who have lost that now because it's a 35% add-on on everything they send down there. It was all small order, but they might do hundreds of orders a year. This is the sort of thing you could quickly negotiate. This is the sort of thing the Orange Man isn't going to lose it over. It's not going to upset auto manufacturers or some of the other larger things that President Trump has to deal with. You could sit down and call that a victory, but he's not even mentioning it. He's flying over to China to tick off Trump further, and who knows what the next tariff is coming at us, because that's how Trump responds to pretty much everything. There's going to be a new tariff. Who's going to get hit this time? And it didn't have to happen.
No.
Mhm.
I'll tell you a little story. Actually, Lise, you had something to say, and then I'll tell you my little anecdote.
No, I was just going to mention that this is just but one stop on Mark Carney's tour. He's going to end this tour in Davos, and so it's sort of up in the air whether which visit is going to be more destructive to the Canadian people. But Premier Scott Moe, Saskatchewan's Premier Scott Moe, is on the trip to China
I'm
with
glad he
Mark
is.
Carney. So they're putting on sort of a full court press. But I just have to remember back a couple months ago, Sheila Gunn Reid, when we were like, Scott Moe should absolutely go to China and figure out this issue with our canola tariffs. And he went to China and absolutely nothing happened. The federal government sent, their we'll say premier keeper,
Mhm.
their daycare guy, their minister of ag, and absolutely nothing came of that trip. So if nothing comes out of this, I think that we can say that China, as it pertains to Canadian ag exports, is an unpredictable and unreliable trade partner, and we should be doing better in the United States for finding our market.
Canadians know the national anthem. They stand in silence to remember those who died for this country. But not every Canadian knows their rights and freedoms. The Freedom Passport will change that. It looks and feels like a Canadian passport, but contains the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in a portable, easy-to-read format. The Freedom Passport. Order one for yourself and for all the freedom lovers that you love at freedompassport.ca.